And some people are saying, what are you talking about? Well, if you're one of the Americans, one of the few Americans that get an annual statement about your Social Security benefits, you've earned this much, you've paid this much, and by the time you retire, if you stay on this track, you'll make this, you'll have this much in benefits. Well, some people will notice that pattern of what they were supposed to get from 2 years ago is different, is lower now, because they contributed less. It's all based on what you contribute into the system. If you don't contribute anything, then you get the baseline base. So if you were, let me put it in plain terms. If you were paying a certain amount every week in your paycheck under the old system, that would have meant by the time that you retired at 65 and a half, you would get $1,000 a month in Social Security benefits. But because there is a 2% reduction, your benefits aren't building up as fast. So by the time, at this current rate, by the time you reach 65 and a half, instead of that $1,000 a month benefit, you'll now only get $950. And there are some people who are starting to retire who are finding this out the hard way. And let's face it, when you're on a fixed income, $20 a month is big. Unfortunately, it is. So for you planning on having, $1,000 and you're only getting $950 or $960, that's a huge decrease. It shouldn't be, but because hey, too many of us believed in the notion that the government's going to take care of me. So the Tax Policy Center, a nonpartisan Washington research group, estimates that 77% of American households will face higher federal taxes in 2013 under the agreement negotiated between Obama and Senate Republicans. Of course, high-income families will feel the biggest tax increases. Now, why would you be happy that somebody else gets to pay more than you? I don't understand that thinking. I don't understand that logic. If Mr. Rich Man gets taxed more, is that going to help you personally? No, it's not going to help me. Well, then why are you so happy that he's getting taxed more? Well, because he should. He can afford it. Really? How do you know he can afford it? Well, because he makes it. So are you saying then that when you get to that point in time, or when you get close to it, that, I don't know, you should make less? What? Oh, yeah. Sure. And said, let's say that you make $99,000 a year and you pay 20% in income taxes. Do you think if you make $1,000 more, you get up to, $100,000 a year, that your income tax rate should go up? Well, yeah, why not? Okay. So your income tax rate goes up to 30%. Now you get to pay $30,000 in taxes. When you were at $99,000, you paid 20%, or roughly $20,000 in taxes. You think that's fair for $1,000? Now, even most poor people will say no. They'll say, that's kind of wrong. I make more but bring home less. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Well, this is what you're advocating. That's not what I want. This is what you're advocating when you vote for these idiots up there on Capitol Hill. And then some people, they get the notion, they figure it out, well, it's kind of a red herring. Well, what do you mean it's a red herring? A lot of these wealthy, rich people, like the ones that make $1 million a year, well, their taxes really didn't go up too much. Well, why? Because it's based on income. And the wealthy are smart about income. They don't have much of it. Dividends are not the same as income. And it's taxed at a lower rate because a lot of retired people are living off of their dividends, their investments, because they don't have income. They're not working anymore. So they have investment income or dividends. just taxed at a much lower rate than regular income. So this whole notion that Warren Buffett pays a lower rate than his secretary is kind of misleading, because Warren Buffett only pays himself what was it? I think the numbers were Warren Buffett's annual salary, income salary, was around $100,000 a year. His secretary was making $130,000. So yes, in an effectively, he was paying a lower rate of taxes on all his income, quote unquote, because the vast majority of his income, quote unquote, was from dividends from his stock at Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah, that's how that works. And you'll probably say, well, I don't have that, so they should pay more than that. Really? Have a 401k? Have an IRA? Roth IRA? Have a pension plan? Have what's the insurance policy or plan? Tip my tongue, can't think of it at the moment. Have any of that kind of stuff. Most people say, yeah. Well, hey, that's investment income. How about your real estate, your house? Well, it's underwater now, but what if you sell it at a profit? Well, yeah, I'd love to do that. That is investment or dividend income. So you want those rates to go up? Really? How about your poor parents? No, hey, my parents are pretty comfortable. My father worked hard all his life. So did my mother. No, he saved. Yes, he's got a military pension from being in the military for 20 years. That helps. He's getting some Social Security. That helps. But what keeps his head above water and allows him to travel and do other things that he likes to do, including, buy a new car for my mother because her old one, which was like 12 years old, bit the dust, was through his investments, his stocks and bonds. Oh, yeah, but he's supposed to pay more. Folks, taxes are insidious. And if you let them be used as a public policy to punish or reward particular classes, you're always going to run into problems. Always. Because somebody is always never going to be happy. And in most cases, it is always going to be the lower class that thinks that they're getting ripped off and that the upper class should pay for them. And pay for them via taxes. Not realizing that, hey, they're paying for it actually. Because as I have said many, many times before, sure, go ahead and raise taxes on corporations. Corporations don't pay those taxes anyway. You, the consumer, do. Corporations don't make money. They have to earn it. And they have to earn it from you, the consumer. They have to convince you to buy their product or service. So if they're used to making, or if they want to make, let's say they want their profit to be $1 million for a year. Well, you raise taxes on them, they're going to say, well, geez, we still need to make $1 million profit in order to stay in business next year. So we got to raise our price. Well, now who's paying for that tax? We are, the consumer. Well, rich people are the same way. They don't have a lot of income, but they have a lot of investments. Even in their own businesses. And if it comes down to it and they look at it and say, well, look, these higher taxes are going to bite into the way me and my family live our lives. And I've worked too long and too hard in this business to let that happen. So you know what? I'm going to keep more of my money by letting somebody in the business go. We'll manage without them. And I'll raise my prices. I'll have to raise my prices, and putting pressure on inflation. But somebody loses their job. Hey, look, why do you think so many companies cut back on their labor force? Well, it's to save what? Money. Why? Because it helps to maintain their profit base. Remember, that's what companies are in business for. They're in business to make a profit, not to employ anyone. Businesses big and small, and everywhere in between, they're in business to make a profit, not to employ anyone. So they look at it, business that has 10,000 employees and says, you know what? Even with all the taxes and all the extra fees and everything coming along, we don't need 10,000 employees. We can get along with 7,000 employees and still make the same profit. 3,000 people lose their jobs. Company still gets to stay in business another year. And what's more important is those 7,000 people still have jobs. So guess who doesn't have health care and all those other benefits that come along with having a job? Those 3,000 people. Why? Because some smartass decided, well, you know what? We're just going to tax that rich corporation a little bit more. We're just going to force them to offer things that you really don't need to have or can pay for it on your own. Oh yeah, we're just going to go after all those people. All the ones that want to, give you a job, pay you a decent salary. No, we're going to go after them. And then you're still going to have to pay taxes. Households making between $40,000 and $50,000 will face an average tax increase of $579 for the year of 2013, according to the Tax Policy Center's analysis. Households making between $50,000 and $75,000 a year will face an average tax increase of about $822 for the year. For most people, it's just the payroll tax. It's just payroll tax, man. That's okay. No, it's not okay. I mean, because we're supposed to feel good about this because the tax burden could have been a lot higher, could have been a lot worse, but we're supposed to go, oh, thank you very much, government, for letting me keep my money. While they're on the other side, they're ripping you off. And then, speaking of taxes, you got Obama out there trying to do an end round with the government. House votes to freeze congressional federal worker pay. Yes, because in a presidential directive, executive order signed by President Obama, he was going to raise the federal government's and people like Vice President Biden, he was going to raise their pay to the tune of $11 billion, over $1 billion a year. In the middle of this, this so-called fiscal cliff, we don't have any money. We got to find ways to make money. We got to find ways of bringing money to the federal treasury. We don't have enough money in the federal treasury, but we're going to give a $1 billion a year raise to a bunch of people who really don't do anything. So the House votes to freeze congressional federal worker pay. Now, how do you like that? Your government workers were almost got a raise when you almost got snagged and tagged with a tax increase. And you guys still like Obama? This is the year of questions. Not only is this the year of questions, but it's going to be the year of legit answers. And I'm going to be on liberals like white on rice. I don't care if you call that racist or not. Big frickin' deal. I'm going to be the eye in black-eyed Susans. It doesn't matter. You're not going to get away this year, liberals, not with me around, with not answering the question. And when you do answer, it's got to be a legitimate, logical answer or argument based on fact, not on feeling. Because I'm going to be hard and harsh. And even if you're a friend, you're probably not going to like me by the end of 2013. Just giving you fair warning.